I grew up watching adult animated comedy shows. I'm talking Futurama, King of the Hill, Family Guy, The Simpsons, and lots of Adult Swim programming. It was a part of my childhood, which is why I find that, in my personal opinion, the current state of adult comedy animation is getting kinda sad. And before I continue, if you get angry at me for having an opinion that is different from your own, especially when it relates to media, then you are being stinky and should take a shower before commenting. I promise that once you bathe, you will feel much better and will choose to be nonchalant about my opinions about cartoons that you may disagree with. Okay, great. Anyways, best case scenario for adult animation shows, the good shows get canceled due to not being appreciated or voluntarily wrapped up before they become zombies, reflections of their past glory. Worst case scenario, you get pure slop that doesn't get renewed past 2 seasons, hitting networks in cycles. What's the secret to an animated show staying fresh and interesting? Well, I believe that it's originality, noticeable character development, and of course, some good old X factor. And that's the reason why you heard people talking about the new season of King of the Hill instead of the new season of Futurama. The new King of the Hill reboot took risks and made some really smart choices for the characters. They wanted to evolve the show, which is great because I personally would rather them do this than pick up where they left off and phone in a new season as if the state of television and comedy isn't wildly different. And I think all of this is the reason why we see so many forgettable shows hitting screens. They're playing into formulas instead of trying to do something new. Like for real, do you remember Paradise PD, Digman, Hoops, Border Town, The Prince? Be for real, you either never heard of these shows or I just excavated them from your consciousness like a fossil. But if we're talking about new shows, one that is very good against all odds and has been blowing my mind and got me fist pumping like a madman is this little show entitled Haha You Clowns. This is a brand new animated show with not even a single full season out as of me recording this video, created by Joe Kappa, that airs on Adult Swim or more realistically streams on HBO, because seriously, who watches cable now? A lot of people are put off by the show. I understand not giving it a shot initially. The low quality MS Paint adjacent art style, the fact that all the main characters are voiced by one person, and the general aesthetic has pushed friends of mine away from giving this show a shot. But something that I do not understand at all is that a lot of people are apparently not into the style of humor present in this show. Crazy, but it is what it is, I guess. Not everybody can handle comedic brilliance like myself and other patrons of the fine arts. I'm telling you, you might be sleeping on this show. Joe Kappa has been on my radar for a while now. I originally discovered him from a series of short-form videos he made with Studio Digital, my favorite being Dino Girl. What I specifically like about Dino Girl is how dumb and innocent the characters are. The most popular boy in school is enamored with the drawings of a nerdy girl who created a fictional world where humans live with dinosaurs.
Like how the harness attaches to the dinosaur so the carriage doesn't slide off of it.
I fucking love this short. I also love the short Scooby Snack. I'm not sure if that's a Studio Digital one or not, or just something that Joe Kappa made, but either way, it perfectly encapsulates what it's like to smoke down with a high-tolerance stoner bud. Sire. But before he was on my radar, Kappa made a short film that was part of the official 2021 Sundance selection entitled Ghost Dogs. This is a very eerie and unsettling short animated film with flashes of comedic elements about a rescue dog discovering that its new home is haunted by the past dogs that lived there. And this dog unknowingly uncovers the ritual side of a satanic cult that is likely what binds the dog spirits to this house. But of course, the main character is a dog and doesn't really react like a human would upon finding a satanic ritual site. Ghost Dogs was Kappa's first short animation, and the style of disproportionate and off-putting design has been a constant in his later work, although I think it really shines through on his video Halloween Ep. This seems to be an alternate universe version of the sitcom Home Improvement, where Jill has passed away, seemingly, as Tim says,
"Your mother sucks cocks in hell."
This, of course, was insane and takes a dark turn. The Halloween decoration oozes blood, Mark has a seizure, and it cuts to black at breakneck speed. This right here is the foundation for the show that I'm about to gush about. Adult Swim, of Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Rick and Morty fame, had this program called Smalls. This is essentially Adult Swim hosting a variety of different animators on their YouTube channel and having them create cartoon series with episodes ranging from 2 to 3-ish minutes. There's a lot out there. Some of them are pretty interesting. Some of these I'm personally not a fan of, but out of all these, I think that there's a clear winner, as it's the only series from Smalls to get its own Adult Swim show. Haha, you clowns. There are about 7 episodes of the initial Small series published in 2022. You could view them all right now for free on YouTube. The characters from Halloween Ep have been tweaked to not be home improvement characters in an alternate universe, but to be 3 dude bros with huge muscles and a strong sense of familial love and self-reflection, helping keep their father grounded. The father's name is Tom, not Tim, but very closely resembles Tim Allen. The show is about a family who is living their lives while individually grieving the passing of their mother, or wife in Tom's case. And his 3 boys, Tristan, Preston, and Duncan, are always talking through their healing process and supporting one another through their mistakes and tribulations. And I think it's safe to say that this father did a bang-up job raising these good boys. The sloppy and disproportionate animation paired with stuff like when all 3 boys giggle together reminds me of Mike Judge's Beavis and Butthead. But the tone is very similar to that of Seventh Heaven or, Home Improvement, like a wholesome sitcom. Every conflict is worked out in the end, and people learn valuable lessons on how to be better people. It's also very cringe. A lot of the humor comes from how unapologetically cringy these characters and their interactions are. But not cringe like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing to watch, I can't watch this, like how many people feel when they watch Nathan For You. Love watching Nathan For You and The Rehearsal, by the way. But anyways, Haha You Clowns has the lovable flavor of cringe, like that of a dad saying gracias at a Mexican restaurant. However, in these short videos, they always ride a fine line of unsettling and endearing. There is one recurring gag that is present in these shorter episodes that didn't find its way into the full show. In most of these episodes, there is a nudge to their dead mother having some sort of cosmic power from beyond the grave as she looks over the boys. She tugs on their toes underwater in their backyard swimming pool, she blows on a flute, she moves a chair, and she seemingly makes maggots emerge from a vegan burger patty. The characters even acknowledge this.
Wow, her powers are getting stronger.
That's such a specific phrase that has juice. I can't prove it at all, but my comedian brain is telling me that Joe was trying to set up some insane twist at the end of the series where the mother's ghost comes back and murders everyone in a final blackout, something akin to Halloween Ep, but obviously way more drawn out. But the mother's ghost having a poltergeist presence doesn't seem to be much of a focal point in the actual show series that Adult Swim picked up. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, and keep in mind at the time of recording this, only 7 episodes have released, the only time this comes up is in the pilot, where you can see a handprint materialize from the inside of their mom's she shed, implying that their mom is looking over the boys. It reminds me a lot of the original concept of Bob's Burgers. This show that pulled fans in based on how grounded and wholesome the universe and humor is, originally was going for a dark humor vibe. In the pilot of Bob's Burgers, the family is accused of using human meat in their food by utilizing the human remains provided by their mortician neighbor. In the original concept of the show, they did actually use human meat. The restaurant Bob's Burgers was originally written to be a Sweeney Todd-esque restaurant, and the show was supposed to be a show about a twisted family navigating their lives and restaurant career. But I believe that Lauren Bouchard was sat down by executives and was asked, do you have multiple seasons worth of cannibal jokes? Would the show have more longevity and appeal if it were family friendly and relatable? This was an incredibly good idea. Comedy writers often get wrapped up in concepts that they don't realize will ultimately limit them in some way or another. But nevertheless, in Haha You Clowns, the boy's mother does have a presence, in the sense that her influence and impact always finds its way into the storyline. And as funny of an idea it would be to have the mother's ghost come back and brutally murder everyone or something in that ballpark, I like that Joe Kappa is taking the grounded approach, and it plays into what I love about the show. The brilliant thing about the writing is that based on the art style it being picked up by Adult Swim and how they set up the story each episode, you would expect some cruel or outlandish joke to be struck, but but that just never happens. It almost feels like a prank for the first couple episodes, like they were gonna fake me out with something insane, but so far it has stayed true to the show's concept. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. I like Smiling Friends, but sometimes I feel patronized by how wacky and edgy and super internet random it is. Whoa, Mr. Boss is getting run over by a bunch of cars for no reason. Isn't that chaotic and violent and wacky? I get that's like part of it, it's like kind of the point. But those moments often feel the weakest in an otherwise really clever show, to me personally. At best, these moments are hit or miss. At worst, it's just low-hanging fruit that they seem to rely on quite often. And that's not to say that Haha You Clowns never enters that territory of being like, a little on the edgier side. When the boys start coughing up blood because they had an all-nighter in a bacteria-infested jacuzzi after they promised to do a good job sanitizing it, it's grody and unnerving. You think, oh, are the boys going to die? The answer is always no. They always reel it back in, scratching that itch without ever losing the identity, staying committed to finding killer jokes and dumb gags in the family sitcom format, and making a point to highlight the positive and endearing aspects of masculinity in the characters. This dad raised some incredibly good boys. There aren't a whole lot of examples of positive masculinity in media to pull from. More often than not, super masculine, muscly, tough, strong men in media are portrayed as being assholes, bullies, self-centered, villains, toxic. And if they aren't any of that, they have some sort of harmful quality that is supposed to be overlooked. Anger issues, some level of insecurity, emotional unavailability, being a lovable dolt, bad at listening, you get the gist. And vice versa. A lot of the good guys who are in tune with their emotions or don't play into toxic traits are a lot of the time these fucking soy boys who are made to be not manly. They aren't a romantic interest until she gets to know him. Or at the very least, these guys are not screaming masculinity in your face. They take a non-traditional approach to masculinity, which, nothing wrong with that. These concepts change over time with the winds of culture. But I'm talking about a manic pixie dream boy, or a punk rocker, or a lovable nerd, or something like that. And in the age of the male loneliness epidemic and no positive male role models, this show almost feels like a response. It's unapologetically manly. That may sound like a turnoff for a lot of you, but they focus in on the wholesome facets of manhood, the less talked about and underappreciated positive sides of masculinity. Brotherly love and camaraderie, commitment, bravery, humility, being there for those in need, and just dumb dude stuff like giggling about calling dibs on a burger. In the small series, while they never get political, it was pretty clear that the family is probably right-wing just based on the visual gags and chuddy stuff they say, like,
All right, gang, burgers should be done in about 10 minutes. Are there any vegans in the audience? Any vegans? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Vegan? Okay, Dad's officially lost his marbles. Haha, very funny, Dad.
What? You can never be too careful these days. I'm likely to be sued or something if I don't ask.
True.
Okay, so...
Sad but true.
All right.
which is funny. It makes perfect sense that they would be chuds. But they do not act like chuds. They do not act like your typical right-wing anti-feminist weirdo. They are never toxic unless they are having a blatantly weak and out-of-character moment. They are in tune with their emotions. They are present and respectful to everyone around them. They seek community and friendship with those who they do not know and are different from. And they always call each other out, or rather in, on their harmful behavior. One time, they immediately leave a dental exam to congratulate their dental hygienist once they find out that she gave birth. Another time, they invited their flight attendant to get a massage with them upon learning that he's missing his daughter and doesn't know the next time that he will see her due to the nature of the industry's work schedules. In each episode, the boys go through heartwarming displays of recognizing and validating each other's feelings, self-reflection. They address past trauma and actively try to heal from it instead of bottling it up, even making the point that bottling that stuff up leads to problems and stunts your emotional growth, and somehow it never feels forced, cheap, or inauthentic. For example, in episode 3, Preston forgets his bomber jacket. a gift from his late mother that inspired his love for aviation and history at a Mexican restaurant. The loss of this precious item causes him to fall into an emotional state of anger and thus toxic behavior. While he is in this prolonged state, he has a short temper, bottles up his feelings while taking them out on people who he's close to, and refusing anyone's help, taking on this burden all by himself. Everyone says to him, "You are not acting like yourself." But when the other boys made him a new bomber jacket and explained how special and important he is in their lives, he realizes that others look up to him, and to be the best captain that he can be, he needs help from the crew. Episode 6, though? Oh man, the boys throw a surprise party for their pops and invite his old fraternity brothers. It was later revealed that Tom used to have a drinking problem and got up to some seriously dangerous shenanigans with the fraternity. The fraternity brothers kept on bringing up Hulk mode, which was a side of Tom that he never shared with the boys. It's explained that Tom going Hulk mode means that he used to belligerently throw things, or someone. Tom used to throw his friend Brewski, but one time he threw Brewski off a roof and critically injured a foreign exchange student. Tom holds a lot of guilt over this act, but Brewski clearly doesn't, and he kept on pressuring the boys into drinking with him. And he ended up attempting to provoke Preston into throwing him like his dad used to, but Preston says,
"I'm not my father."
Tom makes a succulent Chinese meal the next morning and reveals his past. Mistakes and all. He kept in touch with the foreign exchange student who he injured. He learned about his culture and sought out forgiveness and reconciliation. He even exchanged family photos. Look at those good boys. The boys took care of Brewski and made sure that he was safe and well, and even wrote him a letter encouraging him to seek help for navigating his drinking problem. And throughout the episode, we can see how torn up Tom is over the idea of his sons repeating the same missteps and mistakes of addiction and carelessly inflicting harm on others that he made in his past.
Your daddy raised some sissy boys, you know that?
It's funny. I used to think you were hilarious, but deep down, you're just a sad little boy.
Yeah, I really like this show. It's such a simple and original concept, and it just knocks it out of the fucking park. And I'm sure that some obnoxious person is going to tell me that my analysis on how this is both a critique of toxic masculinity as well as a portrayal of positive masculinity while still being a very funny adult comedy animation is me reaching, and say that it's not that deep. And to that, I say, if you have this mindset, I don't know what you expected when you clicked on this video, but I'm here to tell you that it is that deep, actually. Like, I know that you don't think that it's that deep, but a lot of people who do care about understanding and drawing up sociological theories in relationship to media end up making media in the future. It makes art richer and more interesting. Dismissing people talking about the deeper meaning behind art, even if it's surrounding a really ridiculous and absurd cartoon, is an anti-intellectual approach. So in other words, you're stinky, take a shower. I think that the wholesome concept and unrelenting positive traits of masculinity that peek through each episode is what makes this show so unique. I've heard people refer to the show as Bluey for bros, and that's kind of the perfect description. As of recording this video, there's 3 more episodes yet to air, and I'm really excited to see what else is in store for these good boys. If you haven't watched it yet, I say give it a shot. It's so incredibly stupid. I love every second of it. Anyways, that's about all I got for today. I have a Patreon, goodies and perks over there. I also got some patrons. Have a wonderful day and show me my patrons.